Okay, so...
Oh, no talking. I'm just going to ignore Mickey for the rest of this review. He's not going to shut up about winning.
Wow. Wow. The friendship here.
Hey, if you've watched any of our videos, I am being kind and gentle.
It's true. I never am. Do I let you hear it when I win?
I know. The only thing I can say is that when we first played this, I beat him thoroughly. So
yes, but
it's not recorded.
It wasn't recorded, and on top of that, it wasn't like we were playing real strategic.
Mickey always plays strategic.
No, he didn't. I was like, I want to see how combat works.
And then you wiped all my stuff out.
And then you won.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right, so we're back with the review.
Yep.
Hopefully you watch at least some of the 3-player game that we just played with Gary, and you have a good idea of how the game plays. And for me, I liked the game. I thought it was a solid game, and I thought it was a good intro game. It's not gonna make my top 10 list, but overall package, overall gameplay, would I pull it off the shelf again? Especially if I had players that didn't want to play like a Gloomhaven or even something that is gonna be. Even with 4 players, I think this can play in under an hour. Mm. So that's a real big plus. And there's so not complicated as you can see. So.
I was so surprised because when Mickey sent me the picture that he got it, and we were talking about doing the review, I was like, man, it looks like this is going to be kind of like a stale, kind of complicated game. And then I got the PDF of the rules and I read through and I was like, it's 10 pages long. There's barely anything here.
Yeah,
and playing it made it go even faster. I was like, man, this is nothing what I was expecting. So.
Yeah, I was surprised too because honestly, and I will have to admit that I'm kind of terrible about when I back a Kickstarter. Sometimes I don't thoroughly read up on stuff. I actually did think that this was going to be a little bit more complicated from the description I read about it when I backed it, and I'm not disappointed that it was lighter at all. Also, I think the presentation of the game is absolutely spectacular. The components are fantastic.
If we didn't show in the other part.
Yeah, we'll review if you just skip to the review.
But yeah,
there's inside artwork. This is exactly how the game comes, except the meeples and these are in plastic bags. Yes, these are already punched out. There was no punching. Every explorer has their own separate bag, color-coded with the string. The cards are color-coded for the explorers. They're double-sided, so you have tons of different powers to choose from. And the box has its own tuck box. The cards have their own tuck box. The box doesn't have its own tuck box.
And there's also extra space for tiles, so in case in the future, I haven't read anything up on it, but if there is room for expansion stuff.
And I love these magnet boxes. Don't do that, Jeff.
Worse than bubble wrap.
Oh.
No,
okay.
I mean addictive.
So anyways, that part of it was fantastic. I love the light play. I feel like I'm kind of drawing a blank. I'm trying to think of while we were playing, and Jeb can, since he edited, he can probably tell more. It didn't seem. This game doesn't seem like there's a lot of stale time. I feel like people can make their decisions relatively quick.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like, oh, I'm waiting for Gary to go. Oh, I'm waiting for Jeb to go. Oh, it's kind of like, because you roll the die, and you kind of know what you're going to do.
Yeah, while you're waiting on people,
right.
you're thinking of what to do, and it's not difficult. I mean, you won't have 100% of the information at that point in time, because that person's turn is going to go, but, I mean, you have a good idea of what your plan is, And then all you got to do is keep an eye out, because if somebody's moving close to you, then you know there might be a combat.
And I don't know if there's any other strategy, but from the couple times that we played, and maybe it was by design, but I feel like the game kind of encourages you to, like, this is a explore. Like, there's nothing really to do on the tiles unless you're flipping stuff over, because you gotta find the shrines. Like, if you're not gonna, there's not much point. Maybe there is, but like I would even say, like, even if there was a garden, like on like a decent amount away from you, wasting a whole turn to go get a presence on the garden just so you can have certain resources, I think could be potentially detrimental based on maybe the bit on how things look on the board. Because that's like, if all the shrines aren't out, it's like, well, you just gave up an opportunity to maybe find one.
Find a shrine or get close to a shrine.
Or whatever. So I kind of feel like, and maybe people that have played 10 or so games, if anybody's done that yet, can, maybe they can chime in and say, well, you can do this and this and this. I felt like it's like, I'm either opening up all this island or I'm jumping in that cave to open that up, because it's all about getting those things as quick as possible. And, there is the conversion mechanism with the resources, although 5-to-1 isn't great, in 2 turns, if you roll halfway decent,
if you hit a 6 and you only have your explorer guy out, and you're getting 6 resources.
Right, so like within 2 turns, you probably are going to be able to get pretty close, unless you had just a 0 hand going into the to finding a shrine or whatever. So I kind of like that part of it too, because it's not that keeps it fast paced, in my opinion. People that play, like we said in the intro, the comparisons to Catan, now that you've seen it, feel like that comparison is mostly because of the hexes and the resources. But as you saw in this, you can't block people out, and you can't, it's not like you can dominate these things so much. It's like, and then with the conversions and everything, it's like, and as big as the map gets.
Yeah. For me, Catan, because I've only played it a handful of times, I always think of it as like the static game where it's all just kind of like in one area. And with this, every game you can decide to like either stick with people and like explore together. Like stay with them, not together. But or you could like split apart and go try to do what I did and get shrines far away from everybody, and there's a chance that fails, which is.
You got the cave shrine really fast.
I did, and that's one thing I wanted to talk about was the cave shrine. Thinking about it, I understand like it's easy in the rules to just be like shuffle all the cave, but with games like the D&D Adventure System and Pandemic and all that stuff, they have you split the deck.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Shuffle. So I feel like that could have been implemented for it, just because of the situation.
That's a good house rule. Yeah, I like that.
Because it's beneficial in the situation for when we played, because that gave me the +2 immediately, and I could actually somewhat compete against you guys. But I feel like we didn't show you anything in the cave, and there's monsters.
Four monsters, and there's actually resources in the cave.
Yeah, there's resources. There's like a torch thing, which I don't know if that was Kickstarter exclusive.
Oh, that's right, the torch thing.
There's so much you could have seen, but with just the luck of the draw, it was done. I feel like all you have to do is...
And then a couple turns later, it was really done.
Yeah. Oh, shut up. I would think you just take the cave tiles, split it in half, shuffle the shrine in one, and put that on the bottom of the other half, and there you go.
That's a good idea.
That kind of lowers the randomness of the shrine popping up early, but I mean, maybe people don't want to play it like that. Right. It's up to you. So I agree, house rules.
And the other thing that we did not mention, or at least I don't remember that we mentioned in gameplay, is that there is a alternate version that you can play to take the luck not take all the luck out of the game, because as you can see, it's a dice rolling game, and you can get really unlucky. If you went through the whole game and just rolled snake eyes multiple times, you'd have a pretty rough game.
You bringing that up, I actually was looking on BGG and the forums and stuff just to see like why I hadn't seen so much stuff about it, and there were people on the forum saying that they don't like it because of how luck based it is.
You can.
I mean,
that stuff doesn't usually bother us too much. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I don't know how to say it. I guess we both just accept the fact, because we've played so many games together, that one of us is going to get hot and the other one's going to get pissed. It's just the way it goes. Usually Mickey's getting pissed, so whatever. It's all good. I just, it's just the way I play games. But, that being said, it really is a high luck-based game. So the solution to that, which is pretty smart, is that you, during your roll the gold dice, you roll one gold die, and then you use the top and the bottom of what you rolled as your decision. So obviously if you rolled a 4, you get a 4 for either your move or your gather, or you get a 3 for your move or your gather, and you decide how to split those numbers up, so you're always rolling a 7. It's just that you don't know, your move and gather is how it's going to be split. I thought that was a really, really smart idea in terms of alleviating some of that really, really bad luck rolling. I didn't feel like the game that you watched us play was any... I mean, there were some bad rolls, but I think everybody...
I actually got one when I was trying to come out of the cave.
Like a 6 and a 5 or something?
Well, when I was trying to come out of the cave, I was like, I really, really need a 6, and I rolled the 6, and I was like, that was so lucky. But, I mean...
Yeah, so that part of it, get it, especially with all the games that are out now, because I really think that the designers really try to take away I don't know what they call that, like the dice, chucking dice for the whole, like, that's your whole existence. So, in its basic form, yes, it definitely has that, and you can certainly really see the effects, especially later on in the game, because the bigger the island gets, obviously the more it costs you to move.
Yep.
When it's opened up, and then the shrines start coming out, they're costly. Your people, and I feel like the other buildings and things aren't super costly. Mm-hmm. It's not too much of a burden to actually get a hold of them. And aside from your workers and your shrine pieces, honestly, I feel like we used our farms more than the forts. And I can see where they come into play, but they're kind of expensive, and I feel like it's like, ooh, if I get to a shrine first, and everybody else is kind of on the other side of the board, I might plop one down there just to make it irritating for you guys to have a battle first before you, just to waste resources. Are you going to actually bring an army all the way over?
Right.
Or are you just going to show up with your explorer? Because if you only show up with the explorer, the fortress might actually have a chance to, I mean, with the way that the battle dice are set up, you could whiff and and then somebody else hits a 2 and you're out of the game.
Yep.
Well, not out of the game, but I mean,
you're hurt.
Yeah, you get hurt. So, anyways, what did you think? You
I enjoyed it. I don't think it's one that I play over and over and over, back to back. So that was one of the things when I read that people didn't care for the randomness. I was like, well, I mean, I don't plan on playing this 1,000 times in a row. So I mean, you could see the effect of randomness in that. But I mean, for me, it's just like I'll play it if it comes to the table. I'll play it if one of us has an itch for it, and I don't care if I lose or win or whatever. I mean, I enjoyed playing it. I had fun. So
yeah, because they kept with, you know, with the changing map,
Yep.
and you know the cave and all that randomness that got. So the game's going to be totally different every time. And the fact is, what you've got. Is there 10 different characters? I think there's five cards,
colors,
double-sided.
Yeah.
I think something like that. So, so yeah, we both felt like it was a really solid game, especially for, like I said, if you watch the gameplay, I think if you're into games, you probably saw that it's pretty easy. I feel like you could bring new people. I mean, I think we could get. I think we'd get Nina to play this, and she probably wouldn't squawk about it too much.
Yeah, and that reminds me of talking about Heldenthoff, how it's similar. Because Heldenthoff, if you didn't know, is everybody plays as a warrior, and you're exploring an upper area, much like El Dorado's island, like the island itself. And then in Heldenthoff, there's actually portals that lead you to an underworld where you fight monsters.
Yeah.
So that's why we were like, oh, it's more similar to Heldenthoff than Catan.
Yeah, it actually is more similar to that, with Heldenthoff being the more difficult.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, was like, if we had to pick one of the two for Nina to play, I think El Dorado would be...
If you want to see Mickey get really irritated about Jeb winning, go watch Heldenthoff, because I think we played the games like 3 times, and he gets the freaking boots of magic right away and starts running around the board, winning everything, and then Mickey just sits there and gets really mad. So you get to watch me bask in my glory on this one.
Oh yeah, I think I edited out most of that.
So wrong. So
I have a lot of power with that editing.
He does. It's awful.
Okay, so should we talk about things to remember, or anything else you want to talk about first?
No. I think
I guess the only thing I would think of is, like, if you play with people who gang up on you constantly, then it wouldn't be fun. Like, if you're playing a 3-player game and it's always 2 against 1, then I'd get irritated. But, I mean, if that's how your group is, then I wouldn't be playing with them. So
I feel like this would kind of be hard to do that with, though.
I don't know. If you
You're
kind
just
of
gonna,
play co-op
I mean, if
with
you
other
have
people-
somebody that's willing to, like,
Right.
I don't care about winning, I just want to keep battling
Right.
you over and over and over again, that doesn't help them either without,
Right.
like, they can't get stronger either, so...
Yeah, so I don't know how that would, how often that would occur, but...
I mean, it is competitive, so I mean, Jeb does have a point. I just find that it would be... I feel like it'd be a little bit difficult to do that unless like the other 2 people had made a pact to be like, okay, I'm going to let you win, and I'm going to sit here and mess with this 3rd guy the whole game.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's almost like when you're going around the island revealing stuff, I mean, I guess the one guy would just be following you around being irritating. I don't know. I don't know how you do that. It's a good point.
Yeah,
But
just a thought. But other than that, I don't think there's anything that I really have to say.
things to remember.
When you gather, the villager has to be next to the farmhouse, because if you move your army away to battle and then you roll the next turn and you're like, oh, I can gather all of this, it's like, oh wait, they're not near anything anymore, so.
What was I going to say?
I made Mickey forget.
I thought we did a pretty good job of it, but remember, when you start your move die, always point to where you're putting the tile. I feel like it's something that, depending on how you usually play games, it'd be easy to forget. I felt like we did a pretty good job of making sure we did that, but revealing that information once the map is a little bit big can be huge especially once you start flipping the water tiles and stuff.
Yeah,
Because
if you can block
if it's
somebody,
like, yeah, if you can block somebody or even maybe not block somebody but unblock yourself, like I'm trying to go this way and now I got water and it just keeps me there.
right.
That's unfair. So always make sure that you point to where you're going to place the tile you're going to explore, and I guess along with that is, I guess, make it clear on your turn which die you're using for move and which one you're using for gather. There was a couple times that we got anxious and started to move, and Jeb would be like, you gotta gather first, you gotta gather first. So
yeah, that's another thing to remember.
don't forget, you get your resources first, and it's do all of the gather phase, because that technically could make a difference from, because you can't move, make a farm, and then gather, because that is a huge difference than gather everything at the beginning of your turn. So, other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot to,
What is it? You guys didn't see it, but in the cave, the thieves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the tile actually says thieves on it. I know it says strength +3, so there's no clear reminder that they come with the bonus cards. Like, it's in the rule book that it says the thieves have their treasure with them.
And the treasure is two of every resource.
Yeah, it's just, I don't think the tile itself has anything that...
I think it says it on the back of the rules, I think. There's a couple things that there's a couple tiles that they actually don't give any explanation for in the rules, rules could have been a little bit better. The garden, there's no explanation of the garden in the rule book, but on the back it clearly says produces gold, food, and wood. So basically it's a wild card tile. And the thieves, like Jeb said, it says strength 3. I don't know if it says thieves on it, but it does in the book somewhere, I believe. Down in this section on this page, which you can't see. It's on the section with the cave, but it does tell you that they come with a treasure. Unfortunately, that would have been a pretty easy thing, I think, to put on the tile as a reminder, even if it was just symbols of 2 of each of the cards.
Or like a little treasure chest.
Chest. Anything like that would have been a nice extra touch, especially when there's so many nice touches already here. It was like one of those, it was probably one of those overlooked things, like, oh, I've tested this thing so much that I just remember that the thieves do that.
Right.
But new players don't remember, because they never played it before.
When we played for the first time, I flipped the thieves and it was a +3, and I started to do the battle and stuff, and I was like, oh, wait a second, thieves are the thieves were the +3, and then the treasure and all that stuff. So
right. So touching on the rule book a little bit, there, I think I would suggest that if some of this stuff in the rule book doesn't make sense, to go ahead and watch our playthrough.
Or just
message us or whatever. But I think after playing it, we got it. I mean, somebody might pop up and say we got this a little bit wrong, but there's a little bit of confusing things, like the placement of the buildings and stuff, and how they work, and the farms are passive and the fortresses aren't, but you would place them exactly the same. So the first time you're through, you're like, well, if I'm placing this exactly the same, why doesn't it function the same? Well, it kind of does. It's just a subtle difference, and just some stuff like that could have been a little bit clearer in the rule book. That being said, after you actually play it, I think some of the stuff becomes more like, oh, this is what they meant.
Yeah, I feel like, because I've read the rules twice and then played twice, I feel like if I read the rules, played, and then read the rules after that, then I would have been like, oh yeah, okay, I get everything now. So that would be my recommendation on how to go about with the rules if it's not clear. But
Yep. So anyways, that is the island of El Dorado. It's a pretty new Kickstarter, at least to me, and there are some older videos out there. So if you did watch, because I'm saying this way at the end of the video, but if you watched some of those, I highly suggest you watch a newer one, even if it's not ours, because
Right.
they were very, very
It was
overview,
prototype
and it
kind of
was
stuff.
it was prototype, and it was very, very much an overview. So,
So,
anyways, all right.
Alright, so yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely leave us a message. We're always looking at the comments. We've got plenty of other videos. If you enjoyed this, you can check out the other ones. We always say feel free to leave us a comment for any games that you'd like to see, because we prioritize what people want to see.
Yeah, we try to. We have so much on. We have so much on our plate, and we have a lot of plans for some other stuff that what am I trying to say? A campaign style stuff that we'd like to show you. We want to continue at Aventuria. We like to finish that up for you. Gloomhaven's already in process, and we'd like to.
Our secret love is myth.
that will come. I think at this point we're going to
wait for
the entire. We have the upgraded first version. I think we're going to wait and see, since the second Kickstarter is changing the whole system to a modular system, not that you can't play on the fly, which going forward, assuming that they continue with what they're going to do, is, as far as we know, is probably the way the game is going to be played going forward. So instead of going back and showing you something that may not be used, even though Jem and I have already played that way and we like it, we have high hopes for what they're changing to. So that's another campaign thing, and we are going to also do our episodes of Arkham Horror, the card game, which is some of our favorites, so that you guys can possibly see some differences in what we did and what you guys do. Or if you just like to watch, you
don't want to invest in it,
and you just like to, watch people play campaigns or whatever, because it seems like there is an audience for that, and I can't say that I've never not sat down and watched somebody play a little bit of something either. I don't watch him play nothing, but that's cool. Anyhow, like I said, lots of stuff on this.
And we got our regular episodes that at some point
regular episodes, more Kickstarters coming in.
Yep.
Just so much stuff that we don't have time for. So like Jeb said, if there's something you want, pipe up and we'll try to get to it.
Yep. And if you want to support us, there is a link in the description for a place that you can give tips for us. And
what's it called? Coffee?
Coffee.
Could just coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee.
KOFI. And
KOFI is weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe there's another place that has coffee.
It could be.
That's a coffee place. I don't know. But yeah, and that would go to like equipment and stuff like that.
Yep.
Or games, whatever.
Yep.
So, until next time.
Till next time.
See ya. Boards and booze and boards with Mickey and Jeb.